Hi, everyone. Welcome to our closing discussion for our series, Who Invited Climate Change to the Cookout? Today, we are with some amazing folks, and it's going to be a beautiful discussion. I'm so excited to be here with everyone. I'm Lori Kim, the ongoing programming manager for Afro-Vegan Society, and so good to see folks. Hey, Abolition in Action. Um, so excited to have you here. We are here with Brenda Sanders, Unique Vance, and Joe Vanna from Martu Foods. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about them. Um, and just one second here. Yes. So, um, what can I say about Miss Unique? Unique is a passionate environmentalist, a social justice advocate, and is currently serving as the Los Angeles hub lead at Black Girl Environmentalist. You should go check them out. And is also on the board of Collective Fashion Justice. Unique is committed to the movement of creating a world that uplifts and sustains all of us. We also have Giovanna Johnson Cook. Giovanna is a vegan chef, a food justice activist working in Atlanta, co-founder of My Two Foods, and also co-founder of Grow Where You Are. And we are really excited also, again, to have Brenda Sanders here with us, also an amazing food justice activist, the founder here of Afro-Vegan Society, and also co-founder of the Greener Kitchen. So welcome, everyone. Thanks so much for being here. We don't have a lot of time. So I'm just going to jump right into it. Folks who are coming in and watching, tell us where you're coming from. But while you're doing that, I'm just going to jump into my first question here. What was the moment that you realized that the work you're doing is the way you wanted to contribute to the Afro-Vegan movement? And we'll just start with you, Unique.
Yeah, so hey y'all. So I started thrifting and getting into sustainable fashion back in high school, ended up going to college and majoring in environmental studies. And as I work at environmental nonprofits, doing a lot of the administrative work and some on the ground organizing activism, um, my passion of again, I love shopping and I love dressing up and I wanted that in a sustainable way. So when I started to learn how to connect that to veganism and sustainability, when it comes to all natural plant-based fibers or recycled and upcycled clothing, and just stop shopping secondhand, I started to realize, well, I want to move more to this direction of being a part of the movement and helping the movement. Because while I love working on issues like climate change, endangered species, they all connect back to fashion. And fashion is just a amazing way to everybody engages in on a daily basis. And we all get dressed, we all wear clothes, even if you don't consider yourself a fashionable person. It is something that we all engage in. So I found it's an easy way to get people involved and passionate about these different connecting issues surrounding veganism, animal rights, sustainability, climate change. So I would say, yeah, after I started working on environmental nonprofits after college and started seeing what I can do in the movement and how I can actually make more of a career out of that, and not just having to do kind of I guess the more traditional environmental career paths, which with non green NGOs like Sierra Club and then Center for Biological Diversity. So yeah, I found myself here and I'm really, really loving it with BGE and Collective Fashion Justice.
I love that. Yes, you're so right too. To say how fashion connects to everything, and we'll definitely get more into that in a little bit. So, Giovanna, same question for you. How did you make this choice? Mhm.
Wow. I think it's a choice that I make and I have to consciously make every single day. or every time I greet the work, because everything is always changing and fluctuating as I am as a person. So it's a constant decision. But I think the initial decision, it wasn't really like a choice that I made. It felt like it was a choice that was in a way like made for me, in the sense that it was really just an extension of my lifestyle, and I saw what the work was doing for
Mhm.
me, and wanting to share that with people that I love, people that I was in community with, because there was so much power in the work, so much opportunity for growth and expansion, and just healing. Really, honestly, is really what it was. So on so many multiple levels, and so experiencing that just for myself, and wanting to have connection, and wanting to like yeah, just sharing that experience with other people, it solidified that, that if I was going to be doing this work, that it was going to be, for all of us. And yeah, I think that's, yeah, how I came to it. Yeah.
I love that. And the healing component as well, right? Like,
Yeah,
I
for
feel like
sure.
we can all relate to that. All of us who do this work as a main undercurrent, right? Thanks so much. What about you, Brenda? How did you make that realize that this is the work that you're wanting to do to contribute to this movement?
That's a great question, and some of my answer
Uh-oh.
okay,
Oh,
sort of
okay.
echoes what Giovanna was saying, because I do feel like the work kind of chose me. Um, but I was kind of all over the place. I've been vegan for 25 years, and I didn't know that I would get specifically into food justice, because I kind of dabbled in other things, including environmental justice, and like even animal rights. But there was just something about food justice that kept calling me back, because, and I think that the moment that I knew was when I found out about the Hopkins study here in Baltimore, where they
Mhm.
compared two different communities. One is an affluent white community, and the other one was a low income Black community. They compared the two, and what they found, they were comparing the life expectancy for the two, and what they found was that the white affluent people lived on average 20 years longer than the low income Black folks. And they also found, and then were actually surprised, that diet and the food that people had access to was the major component that determined that difference, that huge difference in life expectancy. And I grew up seeing people dying very early, seeing people losing limbs to diabetes, seeing all of it. But to hear it sort of told to me from outside the community made me feel like there was, like, I definitely needed to do something. And so that's what kind of sparked it, this work.
Yeah, thanks so much for that. And thanks for telling us about that study too. I think that there's so many studies that I think are coming out now connecting the disparities that Black folks face with our health concerns, right? And all of these are, I should say, a lot of these are preventable. These are not things that are genetically caused. So, that is, a great story. All your stories are great. So I want to ask all of you again, how can Black folks interested in everyday ways to engage in the field you're in tap into the work? So how can we do it? I'll start with you, Giovanna.
With the work that we're doing here at Awali and with Grow Where You Are, Mindful Foods, I think an everyday way to tap in is really just tapping in with yourself. Um,
Mm,
and I know that sounds like, like like that's such an ambiguous answer, but it's as simple as it sounds. Especially when it comes to food justice, because we're all living within, these systems, and we're all being affected by it. So just really tapping in and just sensing, like, what's happening with yourself, what's happening with yourself within your respective environments, and seeing how it is that you can make personal changes first initially, and then reaching outside of yourself within your family, to your community. And even if it's as simple as just signing up to join within a group that's dealing with, food justice, or that's dealing with whatever your particular cause is as it relates to, any particular justice inside of our communities, from environmental to food to fashion, like with what Unique is doing. It's really just like becoming a part of your community, tapping in with the people that live around you, that you commune with every day, that you go to school with or work with, and realizing that, we're not islands. And any solutions that we're coming up with, it's going to have to be collective solutions. And so just being in tune and being in touch with those around you, I think, is very, very key and very important to, really just tapping into the work. Because it exists, it's there, it's not going anywhere.
Right.
It's waiting for us to just, give our attention and our focus to it. And oftentimes the way people come to anything is when they have, unfortunately, like a personal crisis, or it affects them, it hits them home. And so, but we don't have to wait for that, because like I said, it's there, it's going on constantly and consistently. So it's just a matter of just tuning our focus in small ways, small changes, step by step, every single day. So, yeah.
Yeah, I like that. Small steps, small changes every day. What do you think, Brenda?
Wow, Giovanna's answer was really good. And I'm like, wow, Giovanna's like, she's like, connect with your community. And I'm like, connect with Afro-Vegan Society.
That's our community, though, Brenda.
And
Yeah,
trying
for
to
sure.
be. We, have set an example for many other organizations now, and we've been at the forefront of building up the Afro-Vegan movement, and just connecting with people all over the country and now all over the world. And so I would say, like, check out our website, because the first thing we need to do is to become informed, right? And so Afro-Vegan Society has been, doing the research, making this information available to folks for free, and have been doing that since 2016. So we've been in it. So there are resources, there are guides, there are, just like content that we make for social media, for YouTube, like we're out there. And then people can just become a part of the community. So really just dig in there and join us in doing this work, whether it be something like this, a panel discussion where they could just engage, and other ways as well. And so the biggest thing for us is that we want to continue to expand the community that we are networking with, so that we can be a resource for folks all over the world to be able to get access to this kind of information.
Thank you so much. What about you, Elink?
Yes, I'm echo a lot of what Brenda and Giovanna were saying. I know when it comes to fashion, it can seem kind of daunting. Like, there's so much information out there. People have a general awareness that, sweatshops or fast fashion, that they're not so good, but we're still seeing a really bad increase in these industries, and these really unethical, like, clothing and corporations. So I would say first, as Brenda mentioned, education and awareness, because a lot of folks, they have this general idea, but they don't know the details or facts. So really, going online, watch documentaries, following pages like Collective Fast and Justice, and there's so many other folks, the Slow Factory, just folks really doing the work to educate us about the industry and how we can get involved and do better. I know with CFJ, one really important thing that we've been doing is educating folks on how the fashion industry connects to, like, veganism and animal rights and social justice, because there's a lot of misinformation out there, and there's a lot of, like, propaganda and lies about the fashion industry, about alternatives like wool or leather. So CFJ has really been focusing on education and awareness, really bringing in that, like, research papers, reports, partnering with NGOs, universities, to really get the facts and data out there to really counter these narratives that we're hearing that aren't correct. So I would say start with education. Of course, they follow CFJ, follow these other awesome orgs like Black-owned Environmentalist. And like Giovanna was saying, actually getting involved in your community is so important. So why I did tap in initially online, that's really, really important. We find so many people from all over the world who are tackling this issue. You have to make sure, again, you're not siloed. You just not look on the screen all day, every day, and getting overwhelmed with the issues. So community involvement at BGE, we have our hubs all over the country where we actually host in-person events for folks to come and build community and learn and engage and get involved. So even if you don't have a BGE in your city yet, there's so many local community organizations focused on environmental issues. I know here in LA, it's a big fashion capital, so we have a lot of folks working on fashion. But even if you don't in your local city, still get involved food justice, animal rights, these other really important social justice issues that that pretty much every city or even smaller towns have somebody working on that you can tap into. So of course online, but also community engagement. And I guess last I would say is lifestyle changes. It is really empowering for me to go thrifting and use my sewing machine to upcycle or thrift flip, clothes. So actually taking that personal kind of responsibility or empowerment and making different choices on when and where you can. It's not easy like people think when it comes to kind of opting out of mainstream fashion.
I love that. That really, the idea of tapping in with the organizations around you, or just finding ways to do your little bit to kind of spruce up your fashion by thrifting and things like that. These are really easy ways, and also personally, it's something that I've been doing since as a child. I think a lot of us start to learn these things. They tell you reduce, reuse, recycle from your little child, right? And that started in the 1980s, I think, right? And so these are things that we can always build on. As children, we kind of learn that we should be, volunteering, doing these things. But then as we get older, we get busy with life and adulting, etc. But there's always room, right? There's always room to build sustainability into your schedule, I think. But your point, Unique, about thrifting kind of leads me to my next question. So for you specifically, so what are some suggestions you have to get past any stigmas folks may have around thrifting? I know that some folks just don't really rock with it that well. What do you say to that?
So I would say I have a couple of answers. So I know when I should thrift, when I was younger, it was not seen as in the sense a great thing or a good thing. Kind of oh, you're poor, you gotta go buy these second-hand used clothes. It's because you can't go get new things. So it wasn't that great. It kind of had a stigma attached to it that way. And also, people have this stigma of oh, it's dirty, it's used, it's somebody's throwaway items. Why would I want to wear that or put that in my home? So luckily, I would say the stigma has started shifting. I've been seeing a lot where thrifting becoming a lot more popular and a lot more I guess in style, which I think is really good. But still, when it comes to folks, see it as oh, I don't want to have to do that when I buy used when I don't have to. I would say look at it in a different way. That when we look at the fashion industry, we're pumping out so much and having such a terrible impact on the planet, on our health, on workers, in the global South who are producing these clothes and not really benefiting from them, even getting all our waste products. We buy clothes so much, we throw away so much. A lot of it's just going to landfills in the global South, including folks, land and water. So I would say just look at the positives, it's not just oh, I'm buying some nasty, used old clothes. No, most of the stuff you find in thrift shops is very nice. I got this jewelry, this dress, earring from a thrift shop. They're usually very nice. You won't really find much that's really anything that's dirty or raggedy. They don't really put those out. So I would say just actually go and look, go in person, go to your local thrift shop or go to a Goodwill to be major. I recommend more smaller locally owned ones. And just look around. You'll find so much nice stuff, so much pretty stuff, so many things that you can really have fun with. And also, go online. There's so many online avenues now for buying secondhand. and vintage. And go to ThredUp, go to Etsy, and see and really just play around with the styles they have, and know you don't have to spend a fortune, to look good, or you don't have to support these really terrible industries. Like you don't have to buy from Shein and so on and so forth. And when it comes to the stigma around I think education awareness, like we said before, is really important. Like we said, educating about the benefits of thrifting and how it's not something that's like, only for you have to do if you don't have money, or it's not like that. And really reframing the narrative that folks have with the around thrifting. So, again, just reframing as being sustainable and a socially responsible choice. It's not something that, that we're forced to do, but that we should do. You can be really creative with thrifting. It really allows you to express your personal style, and not just playing into the trends of fast fashion. So you can really just individualize yourself. And I really love that about it. Yeah, I would say.
I really agree with that. Can y'all still hear me? I think I am frozen. Okay. So I'm going to try to close my camera and start again. Nope. Okay, it's fine. At least I was frozen in like
struggle is real. It's
it really is. At least I'm frozen in like a cute position. Oh gosh, y'all. Anywho, so what I have a kind of follow-up question. One of my favorite things is like finding that thrift store find, that is just like your favorite thing, or that just makes the outfit, or that makes you feel, really fashionable, really special. Are there any places where folks can go to get, tips or ideas on eco-conscious fits and fashion that are, trendy, on point? Where do you get inspiration?
Yeah, for me, so I would recommend definitely we're all online on social media. I love Pinterest. Like I'm always on there just saving outfits to my board. And even I go on there, and I'll like look up an outfit, and then I'll see if I can find it on like ThredUp or Poshmark or Depop or Etsy. So Pinterest probably my number one choice. And then also, of course, Instagram and TikTok. There's so many influencers and just everyday people who are showing off their like thrift store finds and outfits they made from thrift store finds. So some people I love are like the Climate Diva, Samantha Patterson, Whitney McGuire, Green Girl Leah, just folks in our community who talk a lot about sustainable fashion, ethical fashion. They really show off their fits. So find these like folks online, do hashtags like sustainable fashion, thrift shop finds on Instagram and TikTok and even YouTube, and get inspiration that way. Or again, Pinterest, or even just if you have a personal style that you really love, just look for items that match that. Like go on these websites and see, if you can find what you're looking for to match the style you already have and that you want to see come to life. That's what I do. Like on ThredUp, it's very easy to go and like check mark off. I want long dresses. I want floral dresses. I want animal print. So that's what I recommend to folks. Like definitely get on social media. You're on there anyway, and just start following and like looking at these folks who are really showing us how we can be sustainable and really fashionable.
I love that. Thank you so much.
May I ask a question, or is it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, go ahead.
I guess, well, not even, I guess the question that I wanted to ask, Unique, is it like, not comparable, but as far as the cost effectiveness of it is, I know when like in the early 2000s, when like thrifting was like sort of, it was kind of like an avant-garde kind of thing to do. I found that especially in LA, like the thrift stores tend to be comparable to department store prices, and or sometimes a bit more expensive. Is that still the trend, or has it shifted a bit? Is it more affordable to thrift nowadays?
Yes, that's a good question, because there's been issues with that recently that a lot of folks have been talking about. For example, I live right next to a Goodwill. I love just walking over there and getting stuff, but they have been pricing a lot of their items like the same pricing as new, but like the cheap, like Shein, Fashion Nova. you can buy new from them for like $15. You get like a new dress. But Goodwill, have been pricing very similarly to that for the same dress. So it's like, I'm buying used, but you're not pricing it that much lower. And okay, I get some arguments, that they can't go too low. But that is an issue that we've been seeing in these kind of more mainstream profit thrift stores like Goodwill. But I would say, like I found great deals on websites like ThredUp, Newly, Poshmark Depot, Etsy, like where folks are where they used to get like 50% off, 40% off, and they're not pricing it the same as like we can buy it new. So yeah, that is an issue that we've been seeing pop up more and more, I feel. And we think it'll be the opposite. We can still find really, really good deals that are cheaper than going to even a fast fashion, shop. So yes, look around for sure. Shop around. Like, just don't, if you go to like a Goodwill or something and it's not that cheap, definitely go online, see what you can find, go to a local thrift store. And yeah.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, so Abolition in Action also says community clothing shares are a great solution to we don't always have to spend. It's very true. Very, very true. Thank you so much for that. And Joanna, I'm glad you asked the question because I'm about to ask you, or actually, let's just go to Brenda real quick. And I'm over here nodding. You can't see me, but I'm over here nodding. What are the connections, Brenda, that you see between the ways we're affected by the climate crisis, all the things that Unique had mentioned, and the food apartheid that you see in Black communities? How is the climate crisis and food apartheid connected?
Yeah, that is such a good question. And I actually did have to think about it because there are multiple ways. And so, but I will just speak to one of those, which is when the food supply chain gets disrupted. And we saw that during COVID when things just started getting bad, when food supply chains were getting disrupted, when people couldn't get access to this food or that food. And, also water, like bottled water, when people can't get access to that, like with Katrina, things just start breaking down. And again, those are things that are due to climate related disasters. And we don't even realize how dependent on the food system or the municipal water system, especially in urban areas. We don't realize how dependent we are until those systems start to break down. And so like that is the major way that I see the food systems that we currently are sort of have to be a victim of, honestly, because it's a very, very racist, classist food system. And for those who have to navigate the food system at the bottom of the chain, right? We have to look at the ways that we are personally in our communities are personally impacted, and then try to think of ways to navigate within those systems.
Thank you so much for that. So, thinking of navigating within the systems, I believe that we will win. What's your favorite win so far?
Honestly, it was the way that people within community came together during the lockdown. I mean, people did not have access to food, and so or easy access to food. And so you saw so many mutual aid activities just popping up all over the city. At the height of the pandemic, like the lockdown, there were churches, there were community centers, there were just people just all over the city who were doing food giveaways. At the Greener Kitchen, we were able to make a connection with a food distributor, and they would just bring us boxes of produce during the day that we could just put out and just offer to people for free. So it was great to be a part of that kind of thing. I love mutual aid initiatives. I love to feel like I'm a part of people taking care of people. us taking care of us. And so that's the biggest one for me. I still remember how beautiful it is, was, still is a little bit, to see those lists of all the food giveaways all over the city in different,
Mm.
all over the country. It was just a beautiful thing, and it was wonderful to be a part of it. So I see that as a huge win.
Yes. Thanks for that reminder. We've been through so much in the past few years. I think it's easy for us to forget, that we were here for each other, and um, we all we got. We're the ones who keep each other safe, right? So, thank you so much for that memory. And folks, I'm asking questions here, but if you have questions, please put them in the chat. We're definitely going to have questions for everyone shortly. But I want to kind of move over to Giovanna now to ask some questions around the work that you're doing. So, what's the most important thing for Black folks to know about starting to grow their own food?
That it's possible, that we can do it, that it's I think oftentimes, and it's not all the time, but I think oftentimes we get caught up in like old stigmas around us and growing food, because we
Mm,
have a history where we were forced. It was forced labor, and so in having that traumatic experience, we often have a disconnect with the land and with growing food, and we sometimes it's like a cognitive dissonance that, like, I mean, we all eat food, so it's like
mm,
it's a necessity, like, and we are, like, just by virtue of us being here and being alive and being on this planet, like, we are endowed with the ability to nourish ourselves and to feed ourselves. And so, like, growing your own food is not beyond our
mm,
abilities. And I think that people see it, they're so far removed from it, they don't see themselves actually able to do it. But the beauty of growing food and the beauty of nature, the beauty of the earth, is that, I mean, you put forth a little bit of effort and it gives and gives in abundance. And so it can be as simple as, again, what I mentioned earlier, as far as just focusing attention, but putting a seed in the ground, adding some
mm,
water to it, and then allowing it to grow and express itself, and to have the faith that it's going to grow, and it's going to nourish you, and it can nourish your family, and it can nourish your community, and um in multiple ways, in continuous ways, in all seasons, all year round. There's always something growing, so there's always opportunity to grow food. um and so I think, just the first thing is, yeah, it's like getting over this idea that it's difficult. It's not, let me like run that back, because it can be difficult, because it's always changing. It's always, it's work involved. And so, I mean, people have ideas around work,
mm,
but it's it's simple. I'll say that. It may not be easy, but it is simple, and it can be done, is like the first thing that I think is the first step. And that it's also something that we've always done.
mm,
Something that we've always done. So it's not like alien to us. We're not that far removed from it. I know growing up in Southern California, like, all of my neighbors, especially the elder Black women, and this is like in like neighborhoods, they were always growing something because it's what they did back home. So even though they made their migration to the West, like, they brought that with them. They continue to grow their own food, even if it was just like they had some mustards and some collard greens in the front yard, or they had some
mhm,
cane growing on the side of the house, or even on the side of the apartment building. The beauty about Southern California, though, is that you can grow a lot of different things. But, like, we're on the planet, like, there's always land somewhere, even in some of the, like, most dire situations. Like, there's the beauty of growing food is that it's possible in so many, if not all, conditions. because all it needs is just the energetic input. It needs water, and it just needs your attention. And so, yeah, I just, that's like I think the most important thing is just realizing that like we are capable and we are able to do it. And again, like we all eat, so
Mhm.
why not participate in this thing that is so vital to your life,
Mhm.
have some, and I think it's really a key to just having some kind of semblance of sovereignty, of control in your life, even if it's like something simple, like herbs on the patio or on the windowsill. It's you cultivating a relationship with like your food, with the earth, and like just being a participant in life, and in the continuation of life and the continuation of growth. And I think if we can look at it through that lens and see ourselves really as an essential part of the process, it brings benefit, I think, just to our mental and emotional health, but it also brings benefit to the environments that we live in. It brings benefits to our communities and connections to our family health, our personal health. So, yeah.
Mm.
Can I say a little
Yeah.
something about that as well?
Go ahead.
I'll keep it brief. A
Made me
lot of
scared,
times,
Brenda.
no, no, no. I'm just adding to. I'm adding to. A lot of times people who live in like urban areas are just like, I don't have the space. It's all like concrete jungle and asphalt, like that kind of thing. And that's real. I lived in this neighborhood a few years back that just had this little, because cities will develop and develop and develop, but they still leave
Mm,
oftentimes like a little patch, right, of
mm,
or some green. And I had found out about this concept of guerrilla gardening, right? And I won't go
mhm,
into it,
mhm.
but it just involves seeds and throwing them. And so like in some grass or some dirt or something, right? And
Yep.
so I was thinking about that, and I was out in this like small little city park, and I was just walking, and I was like, is that collard greens? I was like, no
Mm,
way, that is not collard greens. And I went over, and it was collard greens. So somebody was engaged in some guerrilla gardening out there and like just growing food. I mean, look, like the city might not like it. I don't know. But like people find a way. And I thought that that was just such a beautiful thing because it was there for whoever, like we find a way.
And
So
Brittany, don't be bashful, because I mean, you had a hand in creating green spaces and food spaces in neighborhoods, correct?
correct.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, it's possible. It's
Yeah. For
possible. And
sure.
I think too, like us really like, and I know this again, it's like one things to say, but like our elders hold so many keys, because they're like, they don't come from our time. And so they came from a time
Mhm.
period where, like, if they wanted to eat, they had to grow. They had to grow. And so they carry that with them. And so that wherever they are, even if they find themselves within the inner city, they're like, yo, I gotta do something, because like they are on budgets, things are, so they have to do something. And I think that resiliency, it's there if we are like really just paying attention and tapping into it. Um, yeah, because I'm not gonna be that cliche. So yeah, let me just stop there. I was about to get corny. I won't do that to myself or y'all. But yeah, it's so possible. It's so possible. And that's why I appreciate the tagline that Eugene has for one of our businesses, "Grow Where You Are," because it speaks to the ability to, like, wherever you are, whether that's your location, wherever that is like as far as where you are mentally, or like, you can grow. You must grow for all of this to continue
Mhm.
to happen. So, yeah.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
So what's your favorite part, about your favorite benefit of, working the land?
Oof. Oof. This. Ooh. The land, it gives back. You know,
Mm.
it gives back,
Mhm.
and it's such a valuable lesson in resiliency. You know,
Mhm.
because it we as humans, we're a lot. We're a lot, you know, and we're a lot to one another. We're a lot to the planet. And what I've in the work that I do when I'm out there in the garden, even when I'm out there by myself, or even when we're groups, and whatever we're giving to the earth, like it gives it back with so much love and
Mhm.
so much beauty and so much abundance. And seeing that ability um to go through different seasons, to go through different conditions, and stand like firm and committed, and like to keep growing in spite of
Mm.
all the odds. Like that lesson that I get from the earth is like, it's been one of the most fundamental lessons I think of my life.
Mm.
Um, of just like, just keep moving, just keep growing. There are going to be pests that come. There's going to be adversity. There's going to be stormy weather, all kind of conditions. But that seed, it has this resilience. You know, it has this ability to push through so much. That's like literally weighing it down. And I think it's like it can be a mirror for us in the work that we all do and the experiences that we're having here presently in the society. Is like, yo, because it's going to press down. It's going to be have times where there's going to be adversity, and gravity is going to weigh in, man. But it's like we still have the ability to grow and to push through and feed and be nourished, you know, by our efforts and our input. So yeah, that it's such a, and I know I'm sounding like, oh, but it like the earth has always been such a healing space for me. The garden is always such a
Mhm.
healing space. You know, as many of you, this work can be, it's way, it's so wavy. And so inspiration can get wavy. And when I go into the garden, or when I'm interfacing with the earth, and then also seeing my peers and my colleagues and volunteers, and seeing how their interaction with the earth, like the way that it inspires and it encourages in the midst of
Mhm.
all the noise, is like, that's the biggest gift. That's the biggest gift that
Mhm.
the earth gives, for sure.
Mhm. Yes. You know, the way my heart is full right now, just from hearing all of you, and especially this last piece that you just said, Giovanna, because that's exactly how I feel. That's exactly how I feel. And I think if folks take a minute to think about it, that's exactly how they feel too. There is something about, in the comments, somebody said, box gardening is great for the city. There's something about being in a city and seeing food, somebody growing their own food, that just fills my heart with love. Like it just makes me so excited. And there's nothing like eating your own food that you grew also. That's love pouring back into you. So thank you for that. And you'd mentioned too, this is what we've always done. And in reality, this was a necessity for us, you know. And we do need to know our past in order to build for our future. So when we are thinking about, say, a real future where sustainable Black communities not only exist, right, but thrive, what parts of our histories do you think are most important to know? And I'll start with you, Brenda. What do you think?
Well, when I was thinking about this question, I started to go a little dark. And so I was hoping that you would ask me first, because I know Giovanna and Unique are just going to bring the energy up so much. But because I was thinking about the times throughout our history here in this country when we've been excluded, when we've
Mm,
had our freedoms taken away from us. I mean, not that we have all the freedom now, but there have been some very dark times, Jim Crow and post enslavement, when we were excluded from every aspect of society, and we figured out innovative ways to do for ourselves, to help each other, to support each other, to just make it happen, not because that's necessarily the position that we wanted to be in, but we were forced into that position by being so excluded from every aspect of society that would have made it just easy to navigate through life. And I think that the fact that we've been so resilient and just figured it out and made it happen time and time and time and time again is something that we can learn from. It's something that we can model, and continue to be great. You know, and that was what I thought of when I thought of our history. I mean, even when we got kicked and we were down, you know, we just were able to get back up, dust ourselves off, and, you know, rely on each other and community to come back again and, you know, and live and thrive, right? And so I know that that's an aspect of our history that we can continue to pull from.
Mhm. Absolutely. That's resilience, with a capital R, right? And what do you think then are our most important goals for the future?
Well, I mean, it comes back to my work at that point, right? It comes back to
Mm,
Afro-Veganism, and I can't ever actually like direct my attention away from that because I feel like Afro-Veganism is so powerful and so important, especially when we're talking about sustainable living, especially when we're talking about the ravages of climate change and how to, you know, try to avoid the worst of it, in whatever ways that we can. It comes back to having a circumspective way of looking at the world that includes all of us, right? So not just, you know, having this individualistic way of looking at the world, like I'm gonna get this and I'm gonna get that and I'm gonna be this and I'm gonna be that, but like, okay, what can we do together to create a better future for each other and for ourselves and for our community? And it has
mm,
to be based off of something real, right? And not just like, you know, this little piece over here or that little piece over there, but like something that's comprehensive and takes ecosystems into consideration, takes, you know, the way that we engage with animals on the planet, the way that we engage with family on the planet, with community. We have to take each one of those things into consideration in order to build something balanced and real. And so I keep coming back to Afro-Veganism. It's just, it encompasses everything that we need to be able to move forward and flourish and mitigate some of the worst aspects of climate change.
mm. Thank you for that. So Unique, I'll ask you the same question. You know, what do we need to know from our histories in order to build this future?
Yeah, Brenda.
Mm, okay, I don't know if you can hear us, Unique, but we can't hear you right now. Um, so we just gonna hope for the best with the technology, and I'm gonna move it. The same question to you. Oh, hey, you coming back? Hey, okay. Go ahead, you need. Oh, we froze again. Man. The
She felt a little smile
interwebs.
though, so it's good.
I
I
know,
know,
right?
right? It's lovely. It's lovely. Um, okay. Well, we're gonna try with you, Giovanna, and then we'll come back to you.
Um,
Oh,
so much came up when Brenda was answering her question. But what was first on my mind is that there hasn't been any social movement, any revolutionary movement that did not involve food. Um,
Mm,
it's again because we all eat, right? And it's the foundation of, agriculture is like, the foundation of our society. It's how we were able to then create civilization because we knew, okay, our food source is taken care of. And in every social movement and every revolutionary movement, from land movements to, again, like just social, like social status and social movements within society, food was always an integral part of it. So whether it was through food programs and making sure that the youth and the elders had food, or whether it was through land rights, farmer rights, and things like that, food has always been central to every social movement. And I think, it's the backbone of all, social movements.
Mm.
Because I mean, the ability for us to feed, to clothe, and shelter ourselves are these fundamental rights, fundamental needs that we're all wanting to be able to achieve and to have access to, without without restriction, in a fair and equal way. It's what every living thing on the planet has, coming into this place. So I think that all of history, all of our history, all of our social history, all of our revolutionary history, really should be tapped into, because they all have a
Mm.
component where food was a part of the movement. I don't see any effective movement happening that does not engage and involve people in food and land justice.
Mm.
I personally think that you'll always come up short. And I think what Brenda was speaking to as far as cooperation, is and just collectivity is one of the fundamental steps, because the future is dependent upon us having a collective, cooperative mindset. It's
Mhm.
We collectively got ourselves into this mess with these ideas around individualism and capitalism and exploitation. And so it's going to take a collective, like, reshaping and resh of our methodology to get ourselves out of the mess that we've created, and really come up with viable solutions. I think it can't be like one person or one group's idea or ideals. It has to be us coming together collectively and really just sussing it out. And so I think that, I mean, naturally we come together under, cultural, cultural cohesion and uh, location cohesion, things like that. But I think there's a grand opportunity that like Afro-Vegan and Afro-Veganism creates, because it connects us on two things already. It's our compassion for the land and for ourselves, as far as how we eat and how we
Mm.
interface with all other life on the planet. But it also, that Afro piece, it brings us together under that thing that, that that binds us in this really beautiful, dynamic, expressive, creative way. And so, yeah, I think
Mm.
I'm grateful to the work that Afro-Vegan Society is doing as well. Just even having the foresight to, like, even bring it together under that mantle, under the Afro-Vegan mantle, because it gives us um, a compassionate lens, but also something that we can be proud of. You know what I mean? So yeah, I think just really the connection piece is key. It's the top action. So yeah. So
Mhm.
in that saying, also gratitude to y'all at Afro-Vegan Society for just creating the space for us to come together, to have these conversations, to really explore these questions. And yeah, and then the diversity even amongst us within this dynamic is beautiful, and it shows like how diversity, there's still so much potential in that. Like, our differences also strengthen us as well. So yeah, for sure.
Mm. Yes, love that. Love that so much. Yeah, and thank you for being here, dropping gems. Um, And Unique, it seemed like the interweb stopped messing with you now. So do you want to answer the question?
Yes, and again, Brandon and Vaughn did a great job. I'm definitely going to like hop on some what they were saying already. Like when it comes to community resilience, for Black Americans, our history here in the U.S., we always had to like create from like leftovers or scraps or even from nothing and really innovate and make our own way. So I think that's really important when it comes to fashion in particular. Like we are really trendsetters and innovators, and we have been so crucial to the development of fashion and style, and even if we don't always get the recognition we deserve, that's still part of our history and our culture. So and I love how now we're connecting more to our past when it comes to like mending and slow living, not having to um and really reject, like the mainstream, consumerist, capitalist culture that tells us we always have to consume, we always have to buy cheap and new constantly, and that a lot of us are looking back on our history and saying, no, we don't have to do that. We can really reject that and go back to making our own, creating our own, supporting Black brands and businesses that are really taking that into account, and not just going with what's destroying our planet and not harming ourselves. So that's really been inspiring to see, something that I really love. And when it comes to Afro-Vegan, I love how one example that keeps popping to my mind when it comes to culture and fashion and clothing and making a change. And, when it comes to like the fur industry, I know a couple of years ago the fur industry was they're facing bans in New York and LA and other spots. And they were saying, oh no, we can't ban fur because it's racist. It's like crucial to Black culture and heritage and history. And if you don't know about the fur industry, like please go watch a film called Slay. And it really goes into details of that industry and how really horrific it is. But these white people, the owners of these fur farms and like corporations are, like white or, definitely not Black. They're trying to use us to say, oh no, it's their culture, so we need to keep it going. But a lot of Afro-Vegans, Black vegans came together and said, no, that's not true. Like, yeah, even though some Black folks have worn fur in the past, it doesn't mean that we have to continue this industry that's really unsustainable and unethical. Now we innovate, we're innovators, we're trendsetters. So we can embrace change and really embrace what a lot of Black activists are fighting for when it comes to ethically made clothing and alternatives. So that's one step I think of when it comes to kind of co-opting of our past and like but how we can like shift that into something really positive when we come together and kind of change that narrative. So yeah, I would just say it's really important to remember our resilience, our environmental stewardship, and our innovation and in the industry and what we've been able to do. And like Rhonda was saying, like food is so important, like so critical to living. Even though we don't have to look good, it feels good to look good. And we do need fashion clothing, to keep warm or, to just go out into the world. So it's really an important, crucial part of our everyday lives that that we can take with us and really make sure we're doing it in a more sustainable and ethical way, and that we are doing. There's so many Black folks on the forefront of sustainable fashion that are really changing things. So yeah, I guess that would be my little input for now.
Thank you so much for that. And you know, throughout everything that you all said, really what is really hitting me is the community component, right? We have this innate ability um, to create out of nothing, yeah. And that ability is really what is driving a lot of not only fashion like that we see, the trends that we see, but also what is keeping us together as community. When we think about the ways in which mutual aid stepped up, as Brenda said, back in 2020, but it's something that we've always done. So thank you so much for bringing those points to the forefront for us. And one thing, I did see a question here from the audience, from Yvonne Watson, who's asking, urban farming is really becoming more prominent. I'm wondering how best to support urban farmers in their work. Anyone want to speak to that?
Farmers markets, volunteering at farms. If you have a local farm in your area, definitely they could always use volunteers and assistance on the farms. But really, like, just soliciting farmers markets and buying their produce and interfacing with them and interacting with them.
Perfect. Thank you so much for that. And we do have a really great list of gardens and farms on our website at Afro-Vegan Society. I think our moderator, Jess, dropped that link earlier. If you can drop it again, Jess, that'd be great. Any other questions from the audience? Because we are winding down now. We just came to our 1 hour mark. So last chance for questions if you have any. And I don't see any more yet, but I really do want to say thank you on behalf of Afro-Vegan Society. Thank you on behalf of myself. It's just lovely to be in community with all of you and hear about the wonderful work that you're doing, as well as get some really good inspiration. So, for not only our future going forward in this year, but the ways that we can build our communities, to be resilient and sustainable in the future, as well as building with Earth, right? So thank you all so much. Thanks everyone for watching, and see you next time. Bye.
Bye, everybody.